Welcome to the social circle where creators turn ideas into impact and dreams into results. We are here to help you show up, stand out, and grow your account with confidence.
Yes, good morning, hello, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Glad you are here.
I am Candace, and this is
Jennifer, hello, everybody.
Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about building your confidence as a creator and really from going what we all do, which is overthink everything we say or do online
Yes.
and just going from overthinking it to just owning it.
I think that is the best way to start that out. Um, I am a huge overthinker, and I think this is going to be maybe my most favorite podcast today.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm a huge overthinker as well. Like, overthink to ridiculous levels sometimes. I drive my kids crazy with it, but I just remember taking hours in the beginning, in the very beginning, taking hours and hours and hours to find a video, put the text on it, add the caption, find the music. Oh, nope, that's not good. Let me start over. And then, and then, and then Instagram would have a glitch.
Right, yeah, add,
Lose your
add
video.
more fuel to the fire of, oh my God, I'm doing it wrong.
Right. And then you would lose your video and you'd have to start all over anyways. So
Oh
good
God,
times.
all the things.
But it's totally normal, right? I dealt with
Hmm.
it. You've dealt with it. Almost every creator that I've ever spoken to has
Hmm.
dealt with it, and it's not like a one and done thing. Like sometimes you still get overwhelmed as you move on and you progress and you learn more and you bring on more. You can still kind of feel the overwhelm, but it's all about how you learn how to control that. Wouldn't you
Hmm.
say? Like how you learn how to turn that into a positive instead
Definitely.
of a negative.
Yep. Finding the right tools to help you manage all of it is a game changer.
Yeah, and we really just want to help people push past that fear. And there's a handful of folks in our VIP group that have struggled or are currently struggling with just putting that one foot in front of the other and either starting to post or starting again
Hmm.
posting. So, I mean, we really just want to help people push past that fear and start showing up because that's the most important thing. You've got to show up. You're only going to grow your confidence and your community the more you show up. Agreed?
Agreed. Definitely agreed. So I do want to bring up a little feature that we like to call circle hacks. And essentially, this one is personal for me because oh my God, I struggled so hard with recording myself. I got in my head so many times about my look, my image, my voice, my everything, thinking, nobody's going to want to listen to me because of the way I look. I've always had, this self-conscious issue. And that's when I decided I'm going to nip this in the bud. I'm going to understand one, how can I record myself and feel okay doing it? One of the biggest pieces of information that I landed on was, just before you hit the record, right? Start to talk. Have your camera set up, have your light on, whatever you're going to do. Just start to talk at the camera and you'll feel yourself. If you're standing, it helps a lot more. So if you're standing and you're talking at your camera, it helps you to kind of get out all of the nonsense stuff that you would normally say had you pressed record and just started to talk. Um, that was a big, big tip for me because I
Agreed.
noticed when I would record my stuff, I would go through the playback and I would listen to all the ifs, the ands, the ums, the pauses, and all of those things. All of that can be edited out. The important thing is that you say what you have to say from start to finish and be done with it. Another really awesome tip that I had learned was when you are doing your talking video and you've already started and you're in it and you're doing what you need to do, pause. Hit record or stop record and just pause the recording if you need to refresh your brain, look over what you've already talked about, what's the next piece. I think that is such a huge benefit to yourself so that one, you don't have this giant long over explained video that you have to edit down later on because that will add to the stress, right? Because then you're going to look at stuff and then you're going to start thinking, oh my God, there's too much here. I shouldn't even bother. Um, so cut it down, right? So you've got those two tips where I think for me, the biggest pieces of information that I took and I worked with that. I always had these issues where I would record my story, and I tell Candace this all the time. I would record my own stories, and this is just for my followers, right? This is not for the hundreds of thousands of people who are not seeing my content. This is for my followers that are just like, I have to know what's going on behind the scenes. I had a hard time showing up and talking to them on video, so I just practiced video every day, and eventually I was able to get up to like I think the max is 60 seconds. I might be wrong, but for right now, stories, you can make a 60-second talking video
I think you're right.
and do whatever you need to do. So I would do those every single day to like get used to doing the using the feature, going through the motion. The only difference is you can't like stop and start on those, but you can create new stories to like keep continuing your video, if you know what I mean. So those three things I think were just very, very pivotal, right? I couldn't think of myself ever being on a podcast, one, being in a YouTube channel, two. And it was terrifying for me to show up face forward, talking to an audience of people and asserting my authority on the topic that I was trying to share. But some of those little things that I never thought of before were super helpful. And you always use the editing features of the video on the platform that you're on. They're in Instagram today. They have an auto edit where it automatically will cut out those silences, those things that add up to the time on your video, and then you can go back and you can again cut out more of what you don't want, the fluff that people aren't going to listen to, and it's all just going to eventually lead to you being comfortable, and just being able to pop on at any time and just talk about whatever. But in the very beginning stages, a lot of the stuff for me was I had to get comfortable in actually showing up on a camera and talking to people. And some of that stuff was to talk it all out, all the weird stuff, and then start to record. And then when you're in it and you're talking, hit pause and then, move on from there and edit later, worry about all that afterwards. So I do hope some of
Question.
that is helpful. Yes, ma'am.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you think that, I know you already said this, but
Yeah.
constantly practicing on recording, going live, right? Great example is we went live right before this on Instagram. Just made us a little bit more comfortable to come on the podcast and film a great
Yeah.
podcast, right? It's just
Yeah.
more practice. Would you say that your hesitation fades over time, or do you still feel like you kind of struggle when you're doing a talking video?
I think I've narrowed it down that I struggle on a talking video when I do it freestyle and I don't know what I'm going to say. If I come on planned, then I'm okay. I feel like I know what I want to talk about. Therefore, I know I can hit each point that I want to make. If I do freestyle, I still struggle with that because I'm not like a huge social butterfly. So trying to connect with people in that kind of way for me feels off and awkward. And the feedback that I get, I have to go back, and check my stories and stuff like that. I get a lot of my nerves out when I do a couple of things. I record it, I listen to it again, and if I don't like what I say, I delete it, and then I'll just record again.
Yeah.
Um, by like the ninth video I've recorded on my stories post, this is just that as an example. I'm like, okay, well, I think I've cut out as much fluff as I possibly can. Let's just hit post. And at that point, I just don't care anymore.
Right. And I feel like I agree. The same for me. I definitely can look back on talking videos from 2 years ago And it's funny to look at now. And hopefully, I'm not there yet, but hopefully, I will get to the point where I can be anywhere doing anything and I can record a good content piece for social media marketing on the fly while talking and it still be great. So that's why I'm trying to do so much more talking and just like getting comfortable with it. So that's
And
why I asked.
I think it's a great question because it's something that a lot of people struggle with, and they will not do their content live out of those fears. And I think just the doing of the action every day is a huge step, and then you perfecting it as you do it, right? That is just going to come with the practice of actually doing the thing every day, and eventually it's going to be like Candace just said, it's just going to happen, and you're not going to even think about any of these things that you are so focused on right now.
Yes. So let's talk about some steps that you can use to build your confidence in this creator space. Just a couple things that we kind of stuck by, honestly. I mean, a couple things that we kind of stuck by, they were, I would say, the core of our year before we really started, started our groups, started our podcast, started that one foot forward into this newer space that we're in. And the first thing, number one, is small wins. Start small. I mean, how many times did small wins just get us through the freaking day, Jennifer?
It definitely helped me feel like I did accomplish something when I felt like nothing was going on.
Yeah, you can't pressure you like you will. You will pressure yourself, but you shouldn't pressure yourself to be perfect because you're learning. And have said it before and I will say it again, there will always be somebody on the internet that will find something wrong with you.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't matter that you will never be perfect for internet trolls. It's just not possible. So just post because what you're going to do is you're going to go look and you're going to look back later on and you're going to say, "Oh, I could have cut out this. I could have done this differently. I could have changed this. I'll do it this way next time." And it just ends up being a better product in a couple of months.
Mhm.
So,
I
but
fully
just
agree with
start
that.
small
Yep.
and find your consistency.
Mhm.
How would you explain that, sister?
The struggle that I had with trying to live my life outside of work, the 9 to 5 and then the 5 to 9 with the kids and then doing my business stuff. Um, all from scratch, trying to figure out how to work my business inside my life. I had to write out my schedule. That was one of my biggest tips that I ever learned was to find those little pockets of time that I had in what I was doing in my every single day. And once I understood what time I had to do market research, to create content, to, do what I need to do to post every day, that was something that was a big game changer for me and helping me stay consistent with knowing what I was doing, knowing where I was wasting my time, to be honest with you, because I was for sure doing a little bit of study, trying to figure out what I was doing, but then I would rely on looking at somebody else's content and just say, okay, well, it worked for them, it'll work for me. And that was the worst mistake I ever made. I needed to understand who I was talking to and I needed to do that work, but I wasn't. And I'll be honest, it was like it took me forever to figure that out. My other question was, well, how do I stay consistent? How do I build that consistency? And that's when I discovered how I should just know what my timeline is, right? And that's where the big change came for me to find how consistent I could be. And I think that's something that a lot of people overlook. They just think, well, I can just post at any time. Um, you can, but there's risk with that. So if you want your messaging to show up with a focus, then you have to put it at the right times and you have to know when that's going to be for you. And everyone's schedule is different. Um, I think it's just something that you'll you'll learn to love it once you understand what time you're wasting, how you can use it better, and yeah, it'll help you stay consistent. To be honest,
Yes, and your confidence will be built through action. Like your confidence is built from you doing it over and over again and practicing and
yes,
getting better and looking at it and fixing the things that are broken,
yep,
and not waiting, not sitting there. You're not going to get better by just listening to people and looking at other people. You're going to get better
being a
by
forever
doing.
student, right?
You're going to get better by doing and
Yes,
starting small and celebrate any small win that you can. Any
I love
small win
that.
that you can,
I
celebrate
agree.
it. That got us through. The second thing that I would say got us through was focusing on progress
Hmm.
and not perfection. Because in the beginning, we were so focused on perfect video, perfect lighting, perfect this, perfect text, um, perfect number of followers, perfect stories, perfect covers,
Well, that was the whole thing.
perfect covers, and I know for a fact that when I finally stepped back from all of that and was like, this is a lot more complicated than it should be, when there are these creators that sometimes will go on and they just record and then all of a sudden they are content creators, right? Like, there has to be a simpler way to do this. And
Hmm.
it was really just not trying to be perfect. And in that, luckily, I was able to find myself and find my niche and my brand and enjoy creating content again. Nobody's first video, post, or podcast for that matter is their best, right? It's all
Oh
a
yeah.
journey.
I think Mel Robbins says it best when you just have to do it. Just like the Nike brand, you just have to do it and show up every day for it. And down the road, it'll work out so much better for you in ways that you didn't think about now. Um, it's something that you'll be very proud of yourself tomorrow because you showed up for it today.
And um that it's something people used to say to us. And I used to be like, yeah, cool, whatever. Enjoy the journey. Like embrace the journey. Embrace the journey. And I'd be like, yeah, fuck the journey. Give me the money. Right? Like, where's my money? The journey is great. But now we talk about this a lot too. We're so grateful for the journey. We're so grateful that we didn't have that quick drop, the
Yeah,
$6 million and then I'm irrelevant. Like,
because as fast as that attention or money comes to you, that's just as fast as you'll lose it. So when you've learned to acquire that skill over time, you're able to hone in on exactly what you need to show up for. And I think that's just more power to you.
the the awkward phase is just it's just proof that you're growing.
Mhm.
It, and it
Totally.
and when I say growing, I don't mean like your account's growing. I mean you're growing as a creator, as
Mhm.
an artist, as an individual, as a human. Because again, it's about mindset. Number one,
Yes.
mindset. So you're
Yes.
growing as a person, and you just have to kind of, yes, you have to embrace it, which sucks to hear in the beginning, but I promise you, if you continue, you will enjoy the fact that you embraced the journey.
Yeah, I think looking back today, in all the time that we've been posting, that I've been posting, I don't feel the same that I was 2 years ago. I don't create the same that I did 2 years ago. And all of that is just built upon understanding my mindset, where I needed to be, um, and, becoming who I want to be in the future. I had to manifest that stuff. There was a period that Candace and I just only focused on manifestations, right? We wanted everything, and it was a lot of mindset work to get to that point.
Very, very true. Um, and the final one, which I say this a lot, but I would not still be here without supportive people around me. And that includes you, Jennifer, Alexa, Terry, my husband, my kids now. They weren't very
Yep.
supportive in the beginning, but like it surround the third one that I think we will both agree is probably one of the most important is surrounding yourself with supportive people.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be your partner. It doesn't have to be your kids. It doesn't have to be your best friend or your mom or your neighbor up the street.
Mm-mm.
Jennifer and I have never met in person ever. She's my business partner. I would get on a plane. Like, if something happened to her right now, I would get on a plane and be there in a heartbeat. Like,
Same.
I would find a way to be there. Actually, I probably wouldn't get on a plane because a little sketch lately, but Charlie would be driving.
Yeah, right? It's around 18 hours, just so you know.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll get there in 18 hours. But if a supportive circle makes the entire difference. Our Monday motivation phone calls kept me going
Mhm.
every single week, even if we just got on there and BS'd.
And I think that was a part of the culmination of what we created with the social circle was that we want you people having this, connectivity, whether it's to us or any other people that you meet inside the group. The purpose behind it was to learn, right? But to also have that support that you're maybe not getting from the immediate people near you. I've created longer lasting friendships with people online than in real life. In my neighbor up the street, right? Friends from high school. It's all tapering towards I'm getting more out of my life right now by having these connections online than I did before. I don't know if that's good on me or not, but having the support is essential. I feel like that's a very good statement to make.
Yeah, I could not agree more, especially because we know this for a fact with the Florida chick community. We know this for a fact with the Florida chick community that that we built on Facebook,
Mhm.
where they crave connection and networking from other women. Like just that being able to banter back and forth and like be in the same state and like, hey, let's meet up for coffee. Having it doesn't have to be an online community. We would absolutely positively love to have you join our social circle VIP because we truly want to help you get to where you want to go faster than we did. But it doesn't have to be us. It doesn't have to be the social circle VIP. Find a business bestie.
Mhm.
Find friends online who hype you up because when the trolls come and try to tear you down or the negative folks online, you will need those friends. You will need
Mhm.
those people to say, well, why did they say this? Is this true? Or to just go in there and defend your butt.
Mhm. 100%.
Question: do you think that your mindset shifts when you have people around you that believe in you?
100%. For me, it did. I will always answer yes to that kind of question because when I was beginning my when I was in the decision phase of I'm going to learn this skill, sadly, my spouse in the time that I was describing all of what I was learning was like, "Well, you're never going to make enough money. You're never going to make any money because you're not smart enough to understand what you're doing." And that gut punched me. And I'm like, "Well, thanks for having confidence in me, number 1." So now I know where we stand, where unfortunately this is not something you want to be a part of, and you've let me know. And I had to take that and mull over, am I going to prove that statement wrong or am I going to succumb? And that's when I chose to take the mindset choice of I'm going to prove you wrong. And I think I've grown a crap ton from that moment. And there's a lot of people that I've met along the way that have had the same conversation or similar. Sad to say, the people that we are expecting to support us the most, i.e., friends and family, will hate on it the most. Sadly, it's just a way of the world. And I've learned it's out of a fear that they have for your failure because they don't fully understand your vision, but you do. So you need to continue with what you feel is right, what you feel you can achieve, and you need to collect as much positive reinforcement behind you as possible. And I think finding Candace for me was a huge, huge step in the forward motion direction. And I think that's what a lot of us need. Candace was lucky enough to have Charlie. I was lucky enough to have Candace.
Look, I got a little noise thing. Yay!
Aw.
um, so yeah, those are just three little tips from us that
Yep.
pretty much helped us get through the last year and helped us to build confidence in this space and as creators and really just as humans.
Mm-hmm.
My confidence has shifted so much from the beginning. Like you already said that, but I same. I'm not the same. I'm not the same girl I was. I'm not the same girl I was.
We've grown. It's definitely been a positive change on our lives.
Yeah. So the social spotlight is just really being authentic
Mm-hmm.
in your storytelling and just embracing your unfiltered self and sharing real struggles and showing up not with a bunch of makeup on and with look, I've got dirt under my nails from my plants. Like I just realized that. I'm like, oh, like, but it's just about showing up as who you are. And I don't know if you want to talk about the conversation that we had with a friend of ours about this exact same topic when we were talking about, putting on makeup and like showing up
Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah, we've got a community member currently pregnant, right? And her whole state right now is to just get up. And that doesn't include fancy dress, fancy look, fancy hair, fancy makeup. It doesn't include any of that. It's just simply to function. And her concern was, well, I heard a mentor mention, and I feel like he was calling me out, that you shouldn't be showing up sloppy and disheveled and, messy looking in your content. And I tend to disagree because sometimes that kind of content is the content people need because that will connect those people to you
Mhm.
in how you appear, in how you're thinking, and how you're feeling in the moment. The I think the internal struggle you have of showing up in all the nines. Your house looks amazing. Your car looks amazing. You look amazing. That's honestly a fake to me. It might be true, but for me, that's not how I relate. So I think showing up as you are, I don't wear makeup personally. I've never worn makeup and I've never been a hair girl. I've never been a fashion girl, right? I get up, I do things. That's me. And that's how I show up in my content every day. So, reaffirming that concept of be you authentically. Don't, if you feel the need to wear makeup, sometimes that becomes a persona for you, and then you have to show up that way because that's the kind of people you've drawn in. If that's not your people, don't do that.
Yeah, you're not going to gain the confidence being perfect. You're going to gain confidence being real.
Yep.
And like a very good friend and mentor of ours, Gwen, has said, you want your contact or your content to repel
Mhm.
as much as you want it to attract. So that really resonated so much with me when I heard her say that. It was like, wow, that is so true. It's not about the number of followers, it's about the number of followers that actually relate to me.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea too here is when you're building that community, you I mean, ideally, you want people not buying from you as much as you want them buying from you. Because if you're talking to the wrong people, you're never going to make a sale anyway. So you need to show up in such a way that you're confident knowing that you're going to find your tribe based on how you're showing up right now. Um, I think that that's the most helpful statement I've ever heard any mentor of ours say, is you want to repel as much as you attract. And I think it's it's hard to get to that point to understand it, but when you reach it, you're like, "Oh, I get it now. Okay, I understand why I'm okay if all of these people unfollow me today, but then I get all these new people following me tomorrow." That's the goal.
Yeah, I we talked about this a little bit last week, but I lost over 100 followers when I posted about my grandson Oliver passing away.
Mhm.
And I mean, I've already gained them back.
Mhm.
So it's they can go. I understand why some people may do it, and that's fine. That's fine. But just being authentic and sharing who you truly are, because you can only fake it for so long. Like, wasn't the TikTok thing when TikTok was being banned? A bunch of creators came on and they were like, "Oh, I have to tell you the truth about this." And didn't a bunch of them get like in trouble?
Yeah.
Like their
Yeah, some
followers
of
were
them.
pissed.
Yeah, I think there was a creator you were following who claims, I would attack these other creators for their poor quality in video, and then it would start to affect me mentally, and I had to stop because
Yeah,
I didn't like the person I had become by attacking people. That's not my nature. I was doing it because it was a way to get attention, and that creator recognized that and took a break. Um, I don't know where they are now, but yeah, that was a huge thing with a lot of creators on TikTok is they came on with a persona and the upkeep of that persona wore them down and they had to stop and they had to take a break. And I think if you can from the jump just decide, well, fuck it, I'm just going to be me, then that might work out better. I just found a creator last night. Um, he does not look to the nines on anything, right? He's just a dude who makes comedy content, and he's only posted 552 posts on Instagram. He's got 6.5 million followers because so many people find him hilarious because he's very much like probably them
yeah.
in their look and they relate that way. And that's just something you got to remember.
Um, we want to highlight inside the VIP circle in
Yes.
our school community. We want to highlight Alexa. Alexa has started her own Amazon promotions group on
Yes.
Facebook, which
So
is
proud for her.
just another way that you can take these skills that you learn and just turn it into whatever you want. So she's an
Yep.
Amazon affiliate and influencer, and she noticed that she was getting promotion codes and other people were doing this, and she just started building her own community doing that. So we're just really
All
super proud
organic
of her.
too.
Yeah, all organic.
Doing her own marketing through her Instagram page, through her YouTube channel. Like she's on it. So she's crushing it, pregnant, might I say, with a 2-year-old in tow.
Yeah, exactly.
And this just goes to show the mindset behind I can do things, I can do hard things and, still find some sort of success. So I think she's already in the waiting term for commissions that have come in because people are seeing her content and they're liking what they're seeing and clicking on that. And that's a huge part of that is the willpower to just continue going.
Absolutely. Confidence doesn't
Yes.
come from waiting, people.
Not at all. Not
It
at
comes
all.
from doing. So post something today, even if you're scared. Um,
Share it with us. If you
yeah,
feel concerned about it, if you feel any kind of way about it, post it inside of our group if you're in there. The community members are there hopefully to also cheer you on. That's the ultimate goal. That's why the community is here. We want you guys, to feel comfortable enough to share with each other. And I'll be your biggest cheerleader because I needed one too.
same. Just remember, you got this. And that is a
Definitely.
wrap on today's episode.
I loved it. I'm excited. I'm so pumped to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for joining and, listening in and I want to see your content. I want to see you guys thrive.
Yes. And thanks for spending time with us in the social circle. If you are loving the podcast, which we hope you are, make sure you subscribe, you share, and join our VIPs for our exclusive support. and just real connections with real people. We'll see you there.
See you in there.